È rimasta frustrata. Ma scusa, questo è per Zoom?
No.
Cos'è questo?
È qua. A quanto pare è un evento privato. Cioè le persone hanno scelto un tot di persone per il consorzio. Ah no, aspetta, sì, giusto. Per il consorzio se loro hanno pagato.
Bravo, chiudo subito. Quindi tu dici che non serve questa roba?
A noi non serve su Zoom, non ci serve sicuramente. Quasi sono tutti italiani.
E la menata dello streaming non è Zoom? È Zoom? È un'altra cosa ancora? Ma non è in inglese o no? È in italiano?
Ora chi sta guardando?
Questo suo libro parla di uve albamante, quello che oggi si chiama erbamate in Franciacorta. Allora, questi nostri sostanzialmente 4 vitigni tornano su un filo teso che è quello di un mondo come Franciacorta che non è tantissimi anni. Vado io o si può caricare la presentazione? Il nostro nome è Franciacorta, sostanzialmente deriva da Cortes Franche, Franche Cortes, è un periodo della storia in cui le merci destinate a queste aree, essendo pluripotenti i siti cluniacensi, la abbazia, quindi tutte queste merci non pagavano dazi, non pagavano dogane o tasse di vario genere, erano corti franche. Poi bisogna ragionare sul fatto che sia questo nogale di cui ho parlato poco fa, 1564, parla di una albamante, come erbamante che si voglia oggi. Ma poi parla questo signor Gerolamo Conforti, lui che scrive un libricino che si chiama Libellus de Vino Mordaci, in qualche modo può essere una citazione del ruolo, della pungenza, del pizzicore e forse dell'effervescenza molto prima, circa 100 anni prima che Don Perignon in qualche modo brevettasse il prototipo dello champagne. E di questo Gerolamo Conforti dice che Dio non ha donato nulla di più, la parola di cosa se fosse sano, intelligente o buono, all'uomo del vino. Uno dei doni migliori che ha fatto Dio all'uomo è stato il vino, secondo questo medico, era un medico, lui studiava l'effetto dell'alcol in vita e post mortem, lui faceva l'autopsie di chi sapeva che aveva bevuto un po' e poi guardava un po' cosa accadeva. Autopsie all'epoca, non tanto studiate quanto
Esatto,
lui analizzava
voglio vedere.
e le persone dovevano dicendo che in qualche modo quella bevanda aveva portato qualcosa di piacevole all'essere umano. L'anno poi avanti ancora si arriva a quello che è il nostro vino che nasce negli anni 50 del Novecento perché come lo conosciamo oggi con questa effervescenza di alto profilo, prima non esisteva, erano solo degli esperimenti, si mettono questi personaggi che si sanno fare di Guido Berlucchi e Franco Zigliani che in qualche modo brevettano questo processo produttivo e nell'arco di 6-7 anni con grandissime peripezie riescono a portare le prime bottiglie sui mercati nell'anno 1961 e quindi riuscire a proporre sul mercato un anno dopo all'incirca quello che è il vino di Franciacorta. rappresentano pressoché la totalità di quella che è la Franciacorta produttiva. Andiamo a vedere anche qualche numero molto velocemente. 19 comuni, un patrimonio viticolo di 3.000 ettari più o meno, legati a questo contesto di morene, fondamentalmente questo ghiacciaio che oggi è un residuo, il ghiacciaio dell'Adanello sostanzialmente, è rimasto solo quel pezzettino lì, era grande fino a metà come una banana, in Franciacorta ha resistito per svariate decine di millenni, che ovviamente poi la fase di ritiro corrisponde anche all'ascito, in qualche modo un ghiacciaio che si ritira, cosa succede? Quando c'è un fiume che è un po' in piena e poi l'acqua diminuisce, vedi i tronchi in giro, vedi i sassi trasportati e quindi questi detriti, queste collinette dove ci lasciate da questo ritiro del ghiacciaio, ormai svariate decine di migliaia di anni fa. In quest'ottica un panorama dove ovviamente questa zona è sempre stata un po' di confine. Uno di voi ha studiato alla scuola dell'obbligo le battaglie dell'indipendenza, 1859 la battaglia di Solferino, San Martino, il quadrilatero Solferino, San Martino, Custozza e Sona. Quella parte tra il lago di Iseo e il lago di Garda è sempre stato un po' il teatro dei confini tra i domini milanesi, ma in qualche modo anche un po' francesi, e i domini austriaci, austro-ungarici. Quindi le battaglie sono combattute, quindi questa terra era bella, per cui ci venivano a villeggiare quelli dell'Impero austro-ungarico, come anche di questa parte della Lombardia o, diciamo così, dell'estremo ovest dell'Italia. Un territorio molto molto bello. In ottica di appunto geologia avevamo già detto che questo
non c'era. So this glacier left this morenic backbone and hills that can delimit that can decide about the richness of wines or not. Some wines can be different, can be simpler or more complex. And when it comes to the consortium, also the Corte Franca and also the Sebino EGT. So the still wine with white grapes and yellow grapes that leave more space to fun imagination. And then Franciacorta is a strong consortium that that tracks every individual bottle. We have impressive numbers. In 2022 started better than 2021. And if you have sold all the wine in May, how can you think about XY? So that's a very lucky moment. And these are now our numbers, 20.3 million bottles as of 31st December 2021. At 30th of June, we have a plus 50%. So we will have great numbers also this year. Apart from Annus Horribilis 2020, in which the markets declined, as you can see, the trend has always increased. So Franciacorta, despite its short history, has always had a plus sign on the markets. And this is extremely important. Generic Franciacorta, the so-called multimillesimo, and then we have three colors: Franciacorta, Franciacorta Rosé, and Satin. And here we see these are 12-13% out of the total bottles. Tonight we don't taste the Satin because we focus on varieties. So we use the 4 grapes, only 1 grapes, because from 2017 we can use Erba Mate, and so it's a base 2019 that has a fairly limited amount, just 4% of Erba Mate. And that is very valuable and potentially very useful. And also in Switzerland, US, Japan. So these are important markets because let's be honest, in a global market where the word sparkling can mean many different things, Franciacorta has to focus on quality and a high profile because there are bottles that are extremely valuable, and so we have to target markets correctly. So markets who are aware, who are ready to pay, or want to know about what they have bought. So they want to know who is behind who is behind the bottle, and so many institutions, many brands, and Franciacorta will present the Michelin guide. That is a very important moment. And to close what we've done with Franciacorta, we can talk about sustainability. Ithaca, which is measuring the carbon footprint. So all the CO2 gas emissions related to production processes, which means tractors or equipment, machinery, the cars of the enologist who travels from home to the winery. So we have understood that the world of wine is much better than what you can think. And some wineries are studying systems to compensate for CO2 they emit, so that the vineyard and also with the right forestation can absorb as much CO2 as what is put in the air. So absorb it and not just produce it. So Ithaca is about the carbon footprint. 2,000 out of 3,000 are organic, and probably this process will end very soon. So probably soon all vineyards will become organic. Then we have Terre della Franciacorta, that is another project, because Franciacorta is a nice place to live. And so, of course, if you are we cannot give treatments close to schools and the hospitals, etc. And then we have the Biopass project, which is about biodiversity, which is also extremely interesting. As to the method, bottle fermentation, so long, time-consuming, and it takes a lot of space. And if every year I sell about 100,000 bottles, it means I have 300, 400,000 in my bottle, in my cellar. And so it's 3 times the yearly volume. So it takes large spaces, underground tunnels, and so we have many eco-compatible cellars, which is very important to do. This is so 30% is Chardonnay, 3,000 hectares, 15% is Pinot Noir, 3% is Pinot Bianco, and then 1% is Erba Mata. So the young variety, even though it's the most well-known, it has been the most well-known for 5 centuries. And so today it can be put in Franciacorta, so-called Generico, and Rosé. It cannot be used for Franciacorta Satin, the one that is less effervescent and is more creamy and mouth-filling and less impactful than the others. And so to date we have only one Franciacorta DOCG, but in the next 3 to 4 years, we will have more labels with some small percentages of this wine. It's a late harvest wine, and it has this freshness, acidity, and it could be some vigor and maybe enable Franciacorta to get used better and adapt to climate change. Such that some recent years was a bit affected by this extreme and long-lasting heat. So hand harvesting, then we crush in full berries, which means that you don't even destem the berries. And this means less stress, less ruptures, and so less contamination, less bacteria, less undesired yeasts. So this is particularly important for quality. And then biofermentation, cement, resin, stainless steel. And what we want is to have to a base, the cuvée, which is a blend with multiple vintages. It's Franciacorta Generico, or same here, Franciacorta Millesimato or Riserva. And so mixing different types of wines, younger and older, is a secret, and each winery has its style.
I Franciacorta si dividono in quattro caratteristiche di affinamento.
Can be aged for 12 months on the lees. So with the bottle in this position for 18 months. And then Satin and Rosé, 24 months minimum with the yeasts. 30 months for Franciacorta Rasen Satin. And then 30 months for Franciacorta that has spent 5 years in the cellar on the lees. So they are more enhanced and more complex. Then it's shaken, the gyro pallets that are expensive, but and then human errors. And so the machine knows how much it has to turn to expel it. And then the dégorgement, in French we say dégorgement, but we say degorgiatura. In any case, expulsion of exhausted yeasts. In any case, the process is fundamental. You have to clean the wine because we pour the wine from the bottle where those bubbles were created. Then we have the disgorging with the icing system. And then the dosage, the small amount I lost by ejecting the ice cube. We can start with the wines when you like. Would take with it 7-8 milliliters of wine that I have to top up to bring it within the right amount established by the law, with a certain number of centimeters from the cork. And I can add wine or wine plus sugar, and we have 6 versions, not 7. So we have decided to have the dolce, the sweet. So we just have the demi-sec. So pain dosé, extra brut, extra dry, sec, and demi-sec. Sec, demi-sec, and extra dry are about dozen Franciacorta. The others are about 600 because Franciacorta has very little sugar. So from 3 to 50, so within 50 grams of sugar. So these are the types of Franciacorta: Generico, Pinot Bianco and Erba Mate have maximum amounts, 50% Pinot Bianco, Pinot Blanc, and Erba Mate maximum 10% from Franciacorta Rosé and Franciacorta. And Satin admits white, but not Erba Mate. So Erba Mate is a bit tensed, is a bit nervous, and would eliminate the elegance of the wine, because these wines are a bit more tensed. Then 24 months for Rosé and Satin, and then same with the same millesime, same vintage, that are called millesimato or riserva. The riserva, since it's aged for longer, has calmed down and he's become more gentle and is more restrained and don't need sugar. So almost all reserve are dosé. Because naturally when wines age become more gentle and that doesn't need the microscopic presence of sugar that can correspond to the final dosage. So this is all about Franciacorta. Now I would like to tell you more about the labels. So the first is Marchese Antinori Franciacorta. This is a company that is Tuscan family from 26th generation has purchased in 89. It's a pretty large estate. It was owned by Countess Maggi. And there are 60 hectares under vine. And production is 500,000 bottles. And it says Blanc de Blanc. Blanc de Blanc. From white grapes. So the percentages aren't stated, but I can tell you though. So more or less we have 85-90% of Chardonnay and 10-15, sometimes 5 of Pinot Blanc. So this is a Blanc de Blanc with 2 grapes. The one that is famous for which Pinot Bianco Franciacorta has become famous. And this, on average, requires 30 months on the lease. And this dégorgement was on 2019. So this gorgement is the moment when the wine can be drank at the restaurant, and therefore this one has achieved the time of final maturation with the final cork. So this is like a 36 plus 36. So 3 years to make it and 3 years after dégorgement to drink it. So I have to drink it, at least they have to wait 5 years, and the same time it was required to make it. This is just a personal experience, and this is the idea. And also to grow. So Marchese Antinori, Blanc de Blanc, dégorgement 29. Therefore, might be at the end of the year 30 months, which means that if in September 2019 we go back to September 2017, it's 24 months, March 2017. So this could be a base from 2016. And if this were a bit longer, it might be even from 2015, but it's 2016. So this is the year. Plus slightly older wines. The second wine is Barone Pizzini. Barone Pizzini is in Cavallo di Seo, and whereas Contessa Maggi, Marchese Antinori is Cazzago San Martino, Calino di Cazzago San Martino. So people know Serbusco because there are also the 2 most significant wineries. Maybe Corte Franca too, because it's the heart of the region. And then Barone Pizzini, called Animante. And this is a wine that is extra brut, the other is brut. Sugar should be 6 grams per liter, the first one. The second is 2, about 2. So it's close to pas dosé. And 77% Chardonnay, 12% Pinot Noir, 3% Pinot Blanc, e 3% erba mate. So it's a mixture. It's a mixture. And more or less considering the grapes we have in Franciacorta. So if we take all the grapes made in Franciacorta, that would be the percentages. So there is a slightly more erba mate than in the vineyards because this was the first to invest significantly on this erba mate, this variety. The tirage was in May 2020 and dégorgement April 2022. So it means the base is May 2019 and it was disgorged in April 22. This means 23 months on the lease, slightly less than the other. And this is Animante Barone Pizzini. Then there is some more Riserva wine included, a small amount for which the wood was used. The first one is in stainless steel. First of all, cheers with the first one. So Marchese Antinori, Blanc de Blanc. So 1 + 1, 3 + 3, 6 + 6. So same amount of time to make it is the same amount of time it takes before you can taste it. Is it old, oxidized? Not at all. Of course, that was a rhetorical question. So Blanc de Blanc, clearer fruits, floral, gentle. The only element of evolution is more dry fruit. So it's not for pizza or croissant, but maybe grilled bread, or more smoky, more smoked or burnt, you might say. But certainly it's not weak. So Franciacorta, which evolve, often have a pleasant honey note, which I can find in the first one. Did you come already to sniff them? I drink them too. So what's missing? Nothing. Is this tired, weak? No. This is absolutely valuable. So this is just a prototype to say it's made, it's a Blanc de Blanc. So you don't even have a Pinot Noir that gives texture and richness and vigor. We have a Pinot Blanc that is even more gentle than Chardonnay. And it's yet very pleasant and fresh. There is some dosage. Then Animante Barone Pizzini, you see a change. First of all, it's much younger, but also this contribution of erba mate is also a style. So they want to impact, have salivation and this prickliness and this strong youthfulness. And we have some notes of wood that give these smoky notes, grilled notes, mature notes. And we have white flowers and panettone, the Christmas cake. So from extreme sweetness to extreme notes of herbs. On the palate, if it's only 3%, but there is a touch of herba mate. So this is the second version, 2019. So let's see whether on the palate herba mate has any influence. It's also balsamic. So it's very fresh and then we have the more fleshy part. This has a very slow amount of sugar added, and so it's very gentle. Nice. It then waning, sweet. And then we have more note of candy. The second one is a bit stronger. And this and a splash of erba mate. And then the third one is a classical wine, Ca del Bosco, Cuvée edition 44. And this has 81.5% of Chardonnay, 1.5% Pinot Blanc, and 17% of Pinot Noir. So this is what we have in Franciacorta, even though there is no erba mate in this case. 162 different vineyards. Barone Bizzini has 54 hectares. Ca del Bosco has 252,000 hectares. So it's totally different. So after Guido Berlucchi, this is one of the largest. And this is the 44th edition of the base cuvée. There is wood, there is stainless steel. This is, so the card is very complex. 71% of base wine of 2019, 26% of older wines from 2018, and 3% of wine from 2017, blended in 2020, and disgorged in spring 2022. So this one had 24, 25, 26 months. So this among the Franciacorta wines is the one with more old wines, with the Vin de Reserve. So they have vats and barrels with wines that age for longer. And so it's like you say, you are a little young, and so I will put you with an older vintage. The color is warmer. There is some Pinot Noir. And in any case, this is a mature wine that has evolved. And this is a nice mixture. And here you have many little things, little flowers, fruit, herbs, warmer herbs, yellow fruits, dried fruit, almonds, hazelnuts, crunchy almonds. And the nose involves all the expressions of this wine. So some leaves and undergrowth, bark. So you go to the wood and you find barks, resins, mushrooms. This is the part of Pinot Noir that stand out here. The dosage is very low. It should be about, so it should be 1 gram per liter. It's extra brut. So 1 gram. So it could even be a pas dosé. Very similar to the second one in terms of vintage, in terms of style and vineyards, but there is more old wine and there is no erba mate. So it's less sharp. So we can go back to the second one. So it's very tensed. On the nose, it's mature. So from the third to the second has a nose which smells more of Marsala wine, even though, of course, I'm exaggerating. And on the palate, it's tensed. Then the fourth wine is pretty clear, but there is bronze. So it's a mix between a very clear color and brass and an oxidized color. Then the fourth is a blend, of an unusual blend. It's called heretical, because this was made where Chardonnay prevails without Chardonnay. This is 50% Chardonnay, 50% Pinot Blanc and 50% Pinot Noir. It's a vintage wine, 2016. And the winery Quadra is slightly smaller than the other one. Should have about 35 hectares. They make 200,000 bottles. And 2018, which was a nice year. So this was disgorged in summer 2022. And this is the dose is very low, and it's something that I think they started in 2006 or 8. So 10 vintages of experience they have. So tirage was in 2017 and the engorgement beginning 22. It means 50, 60 months on the lease. And however, you wouldn't perceive the classical notes of bread and brioche and croissant, because we have the slenderness of Pinot One, and on the other you have the slaps of Pinot Nero. Pinot Nero would always prevail, would always, so he wants to just crush the others. And also, can you perceive the note of grapefruit and cedar or lime? There is a kind of tart, tarty, like that of lemon juice. And then we have the leaves of chestnut, of grapes. Just for your reference, always refer back to the first one. The first one is the benchmark of the Franciacorta. It's always has the right maturity. The others can be somewhat unusual. And the fourth has this citrusy nose, and this has spent quite a lot of time in the cellar, because it's older than 2 and 3, and 2 years older, or 1 or 2 years older than 1. This is also mint and licorice. And this is more, it has more flavors once you swallow it, because Pinot Blanc is a bit shy, whereas there is very nice lingering persistence, herbs, fennel, white fennel, aniseed, licorice, and very rewarding, much more on the palate than on the nose. This is pas dosé, but also the first one was not much. The second and third, this is point something. But in number 2 and number 3, did you miss sugars? Not certainly in 4, not in 3, maybe in 2. You may think, well, if they give it, if would be a bit more gentle, it would be better. So this fourth wine doesn't require any sugar. And on Franciacorta.wine, we have the video by Zanichelli. After 6 or 7 minutes, Giulia Cavalleri is speaking. And it says, Franciacorta doesn't need any makeup. And by this, they mean there's no need for sugar. Otherwise, it would be too much. It would be like an obstacle. Even though I like a lot, so it's very gives a lot of satisfaction. It's not mouth-filling, and it's more creamy in number 2 and more direction, because it's tense, but it's straight and slender and fibrous, but it's slender. Whereas 1 and 3 are a little like me. They like food. They are a bit more lush. On social media, I get always a lot of ads for to have a very fit body. So a Spartan training, and that's crazy, because I mean. So let's now move to wine number 5, which is a Blanc de Noir. There are some 20 labels of Blanc de Noir. 25 years ago, if you saw a new vineyard, it meant it was all of Chardonnay. Today, we plant as much Chardonnay as Pinot Noir in the new in the countryside, because Pinot Noir has become important for rosé, but also because it gives more structured wines, more long-lasting wines. And so when you start to be great at doing something, you try to become even better. And so Pinot Noir is always a kind of destination you want to achieve. So a place that you would like to offer, because it means you would be truly great. And so we have some 20 Blanc de Noir in Franciacorta. Maiolini is towards the northeast in Ome. It's a bit higher up, 350, 400 meters of altitude. And this area of Franciacorta is more protected from the heat waves and more exposed to cold winds from Lago di Seo, but also from Valle Trompia. So it's a fresher area, and wines are a little more pointed. And the Blanc de Noir does that. I mean, it's not a wine that would be kept for 5 years. It's like a generic Franciacorta, but for with Pinot Noir. This was disgorged in 2021. Tirage was 19 and the base was 18. And it could be, I think it's 17, the base is 17. It's a somewhat special vintage. I think it's from 2017 because it smells of dry leaves and laurel bay leaf. And I want to say something which is perhaps not very nice. Did you know the syndrome of the fathom limb? So you have this kind of pinching effect. So Pinot Noir is a variety that is quite classy and textured, also a bit angular. So you remove the skins, which is a consistent part of its aromas and flavors. But it doesn't remember you removed the skins, and it tastes also of the red wine. So spices, humus, musk. And this is the idea of the Pinot Noir variety. So it's savory and tasty and spicy. We could say piquant. For instance, when you or coriander seeds. So these are some descriptors. You can think of a herbal tea. A little less sharp. I think it has 3.54 grams of sugar, but almost all the Franciacorta you drink as brut are extra brut. Essentially, Ca del Bosco 2 years ago, Gudo Blocco this year, their base product, 61 Berlucchi and Cuvée Prestige, Ca del Bosco, have become extra brut. So the simplest wine they make has become extra brut because they don't put sugar at all. Before moving to rosé, because the rosé reshuffles the cards, we go back to number 1. And I think that 1 will not taste much. But it's nice. So this is a bottle you may want to drink lightheartedly. So this is Franciacorta today. You don't have to have to be in a rush and so on. So this is a wine with good performance. Besides, it's simple. Simple doesn't mean limited. It means that it has some characteristics and not others. Number 2 with herba mate. The nose is more relevant, more, let's say, significant than, the amount in this wine. And we have this sort of tartness, juiciness. It's like when you the taste of the orange zest. It's not bitter, but it's a bitterish note, bergamot, the chinotto fruit, and yellow grapefruit. The winery often make the bottle called LA, which in Italian means lungo affinamento, so the long aging. So this wine, the goal of this wine is to increase salivation and drinkability. But acidity is good also over time. And then the third one is nice and cuddly. Sweet, the sweet nose. Like vigne, fruit jelly. So lemon cream, millefeuille. So it's a balanced wine. So this is a wine which is transversal, cross-functional. And this is very important because it can help you, it can be paired with many different types of foods. And then heretic, with this nice purple. So heretic, so I like the combination between his character and his calm maturity. And also it has the most multifaceted finish. Maybe you don't like it because it's not as easy to drink as number 3. And then Blanc de Noir, which is saline. I wouldn't say the smell of a fish boat, but you know, like the sardines tin or the tuna fish tin or shells or mussels. So this saline iodine note. This is a quite relevant wine in terms of descriptors. Then the last one is Vezzoli Ugo. That is a fairly small producer. We are south east of Franciacorta in San Pancrazio. That is a municipality that is outside the Franciacorta DOCG and is in EIGT. And they have vineyards on the border, and they make this small production. This is 100% Pinot Nero, but rosé. So maceration is fast, 4-5 hours. So the horizontal press, well, you fill it, you close it, and before pressing, you leave the grapes there. So that's enough to give this gentle color to the must. And there are many ways to make Franciacorta Rosé. Minimum it should be 35% of Pinot Noir. But you can put 20%, 30%, 70%, 100%, provided there is Pinot Nero and provided a part of it is in contact with the skins. So you cannot mix white and red. You can mix white and rosé. So you add the white part, but you cannot use the white wine. The red wine like in Champagne. So in any case, the color. So if even though it's so the color is pretty pale. Some say pomegranate or wild strawberry or morello cherry or sour cherry. So the dosage is moderate. This was disgorged in May 22. May 22, tirage was 2020, base 19. This spends 24, 26 months. This means this is 19 base, 16, 19, 19, 16, 18, but I think it's 17, and 19. Pinot Noir Rosé. And it gives this subtle, rough sensation, but you don't look for robust rosé that wants to replace red wine. They do that with spiciness, complexity, length, but not tannins. And this is made with, certainly with red grapes. Someone would say it's a step forward, sorry, a step backward. So you may certainly say that you drank wines that are more kind of nervous and tense, but it has a finish which is spicy and bitterish, and due to this short maceration. It starts simple, that it looks very light-hearted, but then it's pretty strong. So it has a nice vitality on the finish. So it's very much appetizing. And you can pair it for pairings. And we can say the first is the wine you can pair with anything. So where you put it, it's fine. Because it's very gentle. Number two, it's a wine that is a wine which cleans your palate. So you can pair it with very fatty food, very greasy food, and it's great. The third one is like the first, very transversal, maybe with a bit more lingering. So with starters and also maybe some spicy food, smoky food. And then the fourth, so it makes a step backward in terms of seasonings, but raw material is more. So it's for game, for instance, maybe not with roasted wild boar with chestnuts, but maybe for starters, quail legs or duck breast or duck speck. So more intense, spicy foods with a melting flavor. And the fifth one has some sugar. And then it's slightly more piquant and spicy. And it can pair well For instance, I like Greek dishes, for instance, saganaki with shrimps, so shrimps, peppers, feta cheese. And then number 6 is a wine that is good with different things because this is a bit more dosed than the other. So you can put the, let's say, the board with the cold cuts, and also the cotechino, or the so-called zampone, which is pork cuts. Very well. So we tasted the 6 wines with these different varieties. I thank you very much for your patience and enjoy. Thank you. And also thanks to the sommelier.